Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has urged Russian President Vladimir Putin to meet him in the Donbas region. The invitation comes in a bid to end the conflict and ease the tensions between the two sides. In a video address, Zelensky urged Kiev's Western backers to give a clear signal that they are willing to support the country in a standoff with Russia as Moscow amasses huge amounts of troops along the border with Ukraine.
Чи готова вона до неї? Так. Чи перестане Україна боротись за мир дипломатичним шляхом? Ніколи. Чи буде Україна в разі чого себе захищати? Завжди. Наш принцип простий. Україна не починає війну першою, але Україна завжди стоїть до останнього. Господин Путин, я готов пойти еще дальше и предложить вам встретиться в любой точке украинского Донбасса, где идет война.
Ukrainian foreign minister claims that Russia will soon have more than 120,000 troops along the border with Ukraine. He called for new Western economic sanctions to deter Moscow from further military escalation.
For weeks, Russian troops continue to arrive in close proximity to our borders in the northeast, in the east, and in the south. In about a week, they are expected to reach a combined force of over 120,000 troops. This does not mean that they will stop building up their forces at that number.
Kiev and Moscow have traded blame for rising clashes in the Donbas region. Ukrainian troops have been battling Russian-backed forces for years now. Ukraine claims that the conflict has led to death of 14,000 people since the year 2014. Washington and NATO have been alarmed by the sheer numbers of Russian troops near the Ukrainian border and in Crimea, a region that Moscow annexed from Ukraine. Officials say that the concentration of Russian forces is now larger during that annexation of Crimea a few years ago. Foreign Minister has called for Moscow to recommit to a ceasefire in eastern Ukraine. He has also said that the cost of preventing Russia's further escalation will always be lower than the cost of stopping it and mitigating its consequences. Kate Fisher continues to be with us on this massive news story. Kate, now, Ukrainian president was elected in 2019 on promises of bringing an end to the conflict in Donbas region and the standoff with Russia. Now, he has accused Russia essentially of participating in peace negotiations on one hand and amassing troops on Ukrainian border on the other. He said, and I quote, "A considerable number of Russian troops are concentrated near our border. Officially, Russia calls this military exercise. Unofficially, the world calls this blackmail." So he's clearly worried about the sheer number of Russian troops along the border. He's called it blackmail as well. How real is this invitation then to Vladimir Putin to come and meet in that Donbas region at the center of this entire conflict?
Well, that obviously is a meeting between the Russian president and the Ukrainian leader. Here in the US, Joe Biden, the US president, has also suggested to Vladimir Putin that they have a summit to discuss the issues along the Ukrainian border, amongst other things. Certainly, tensions between the US and Russia have ramped up in the weeks and months since Joe Biden took office. We have had Joe Biden, the Biden administration slapping sanctions on several Russians in response to that cyber attack, as well as dismissing 10 Russian diplomats from the United States. Vladimir Putin building up the troop presence in Ukraine. Analysts here trying to decide whether that is a genuine threat, whether there should be a real concern about an imminent Russian invasion of Ukraine, or whether it's kind of saber rattling, and Vladimir Putin trying to give an early test to Joe Biden as he begins his US presidency to see what his reaction will be. It certainly has gleaned a reaction. It's got Vladimir Putin this promise of
Right, we'll try and reconnect with Kate Fisher there, but a huge story coming in from Ukraine, where the Ukrainian president has invited Russian President Vladimir Putin to hold discussions, one-on-one meeting in the Donbas region, which is at the center of this entire conflict. Now, Donbas region is a region along the border between Ukraine and Russia, and since 2014, the region has seen at least 13,000 lives. The conflict has claimed at least 13,000 lives. It has seen 30 Ukrainian soldiers killed since the start of this year, compared to 50 Ukrainian soldiers killed in 2020, where Ukrainian army is battling pro-Russian separatists. And amidst this conflict, Russia has now amassed more than 100,000 troops along the border with Ukraine. Ukraine fears an imminent Russian military aggression and has urged now for NATO to show clear signs of support in the face of this Russian aggression. Now remember, Russia had annexed the Crimean region, which is close to the Donbas region. So Russia had annexed Crimea in the year 2014, and NATO had responded with sanctions on Moscow. And Ukraine now clearly wants NATO to send stronger signals to Russia that NATO continues to back Ukraine. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.